Do you hear that? Can you hear the sound? That's the sound of excitement in the pinball world. The long-awaited Walking Dead is here. We have photographs, we have pricing, we have features, we have just blood and guts and zombies and gore. And Coast2Coast Pinball is here to talk about it on episode 106. Let's go. Welcome to Coast2Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. This is a commentary. And I am a man out of quarters. I missed you guys. What's going on? How you doing? Been busy. These roadshow trips for Taylor take it out of me because I have to talk for over 2 hours every night for the whole week. And by the time I get back to my hotel, sometimes there's a drive involved, and the thought of then doing a 45-minute podcast just, it doesn't happen. I can't make it work. So, of course, Stern went and released all the details and photos and full-on announcement of The Walking Dead. While I was out doing that, Mr. Gomez, I'm still waiting for my invitation for a game release. I thought we were going to do that sometime. Totally making that up. But yeah, so The Walking Dead, it's out, and let's just get right into it. What do we know? I mean, a great source of information is, of course, on the Pinside Pinball forums.
Forum static.
And before we get into this, I will also credit the fine folks over at pinballnews.com for just a fantastic overview photography session and write-up on the games as they release, as they always do. It makes it easy for me to just grab info from one spot, and I really do appreciate that. So please frequent pinballnews.com. So here's what's going on. The Walking Dead is released. It is AMC The Walking Dead. So remember, this is the television licensed TV show, The Walking Dead. This is not based on the comic book. So we have AMC logos on the back glass on the side of the game and on the card on the apron. So definitely there's some AMC branding here because they announced this show on television as this week on AMC's The Walking Dead. They're very proud that they own the rights to this show, as they should be. It's been a very successful show for them. Teresa and I have watched this show from the beginning. We're both into zombies. She can't look at most of it because blood and guts and gore scares her, and she has to turn away, but that's okay. So I can tell you this much. In this household, I went out on a limb and just went ahead and bought Tales from the Crypt and didn't really ask my then girlfriend, now wife, the lovely Teresa, and just kind of brought it home, and she was not overly thrilled, but she rolled with it. And I kind of said, hey, The Walking Dead's announced. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And then I showed her the pictures, and she said in very plain English, no, you cannot bring that here. It's not going light with the blood and the guts and the zombies and the gore and real images of zombies. So I think the question everybody was wondering is, what's this thing going to look like? Are we going to be looking at just photographs from the TV show? That was going to be a bummer. People are excited about this theme. And I think what we got is a nice compromise. There is some, quote, photoshopping of photography type images throughout this game, but there's also a lot of more realistic drawn versions of photoshopped images. I think they did a fantastic job in filling in the playfield with lots of layers of elements of blood and rust and zombies. And I like that on some of the inserts, at least one or two of them, maybe more than that, there's artwork that sort of goes through the borders and the edges of the inserts. It's cool. But at first look at the cabinets, let's look at the Pro cabinet, shall we? So we're basically looking at a majorly red and black themed game here with the Walking Dead Pro model, and they sort of have a sepia toned artworked drawing of 4 of the main characters from the television show. The main character Rick, Michonne, I think that's her name, the African American girl with the samurai sword, Daryl, who's the crossbow wielding kind of up and coming other hero of the show, and then I always forget the Asian dude's name who's with Maggie and whatever his name is. I'm really bad at names on things. But anyway, so those 4 characters. Maggie's not on here. Maggie's dad, who's kind of a beloved character who loses some limb stuff is not on here. I shouldn't spoil stuff on this show. A lot of people are starting to watch the show because of this. But anyway, so that's what you have on the Pro. You have the characters from the show on the side of the cabinet, and on the back box you have zombies. And I'm really glad they went this route. So you have this really cool zombie look, like they're breaking through glass to get to you, with the Walking Dead and the AMC logo below it. Like I said, red and black. The speaker surround, DMD surround, is all covered in like black grime and then bloody fingerprints. Black armor, black lockdown bar, black side rails, black legs. Looks great. Looks fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Still just a DMD. There's all this speculation, were we going to see some new system, something this, something that. I think we've known for a while that wasn't going to happen. So we have a red, looks like a red dot DMD. Maybe it's that same orange kind of color they've been using. But in any case, you have a very fine-looking piece of artwork. There has been some complaints on the Pinside forums and some other message boards of the AMC logo being so prominent, and it looks as if it's AMC making the game. I think that's just people complaining. Complain. If that's the biggest problem with the artwork, then I think we're okay. We got a nice artwork package here. We have something that's definitely adult themed. This is not Monster Bash. This is not a cartoon take on monsters. This is gory zombies. I mean, some of the faces are just, rotted away, teeth rotting out. I love it. The LE, and notice I'm jumping right to the LE. There's no premium edition announced by Stern. I believe, based on things told to me, that the idea here is that if they are to sell through whatever number of limited editions there be, and I don't have a confirmed number for that, and that may be out on the internet, and please write me and let me know if I'm wrong on that. But so let's say it's 750 or 500 or whatever it's going to be of the limited editions. If they sell through those very quickly, I have no doubt that they, and I believe this has been confirmed by some people on the inside, they will run at some point, I'm not saying right away, this may be 6 months, a year from now, but they will run a premium version of The Walking Dead with the upgraded features we'll talk about, but with different art packaging and maybe a lesser piece here or there in a non-limited number capacity for a slightly lesser price. So looking at the artwork in the cabinet on the limited edition, they're going with this like rusty brown armor, which in early photos didn't look all that fantastic, I have to admit. I kind of thought they missed on this, but as I saw more photos and some high-res pictures were posted to Pinside, I think they did get the effect they were generally going for. It's probably going to be one of those we won't really know till we see actual photos in person of what it looks like, but they're going for like a worn out, rusted, decayed world vibe on the armor, which I think is cool. I think that's very cool. It adds a nice touch to a limited edition game, which is really for the hardcore collectors or those who are trying to put together location collections with high-end sought after limited run games, which those are out there, and that's definitely a market for these type of things. So instead of having the characters on the side of the limited edition, what we have is the Dead Inside barn door from the end of season 2, I believe, maybe season 3. You know what? I'm not going to quote stuff from the episodes because I'm terrible with television watching. I watch it all, I love it, and then I forget a lot of the details. So you have the zombie hands creeping out from the boards of this door, and it's written across Dead Inside, like don't go in here. There's the walkers, the zombies are in there. So that's down the sides of the cabinet and on the side panels of the head unit too. They used the same basic art for the back glass, so there's not a wholly different back glass artwork, but they did change it up a little bit. Instead of just having the zombies breaking through the glass, there's also sort of like the reinforced metal in the glass, sort of the not safety glass, but like glass with kind of chicken wire in it. I don't even know. You see it in like institutions and stuff. So a slightly different look there for the translate on the I shouldn't even say translate because that's what I'm about to get to, is that it's an actual mirrored back glass on the LE, which is awesome. Limited edition mirrored back glass. Fantastic. I think that we're missing that in pinball. I love that, especially for the high-end home buyers. So that's very cool. Was very glad to see that. Oh, actually, from my notes earlier today, I did write down 600 limited edition models. So maybe I knew that and forgot that. So 600 limited edition models, I believe. Apparently, I believed that earlier today. So anyway, I think both packages look really good. I think the Pro is obviously the one they expect to be out on location more, and so you put the characters from the TV show, which might draw in casual fans who are a fan of those characters in the shows. They put money in the game, it earns money, right? And then the Walking Dead Limited Edition is going to be more of that home collector with the upgraded armor and the cool, really, I don't know, more artsy cabinet artwork, so to speak. Either way, I think the general consensus here on these games is that both look really, really good. So what's this thing laid out like, right? Isn't that the next big question? Like, what do we have here? Well, I was both pleasantly surprised with the layout, just in a general, I was impressed by what I saw, and I was also a little taken aback by how similar it kind of looks to Metallica. Now, we know John Borg did this design. When John Borg obviously did Metallica, and we've heard right from John Borg that he feels this is his best game ever, and we haven't played it. I don't know what it plays like, and I have a feeling this is going to be one of those games where you're like, oh, that shot feels great, or oh, I like the way this flows or this goes. I get that feeling by listening to things I heard leading up to this release, that this is really going to be a player's game, and I've been pretty excited about this release. Partly because the theme was sort of dark and horror, but just partly because of the things I was hearing about the actual game and how kind of proud the key people seem to be in design of this. So when I saw the layout, I thought, oh my gosh, it's cool because the artwork on the layout I think's pretty awesome. They've got this just, apocalyptic, ravaged world feel going on here with definite scenes from the show, but yet it all sort of feels like something, kind of new. The giant, group of zombies coming at you on the lower third of the playfield, where all the inserts are and towards the flippers. That's not really, I don't know if that's taken directly out of a scene from the show or not. It probably is, because these look like the right zombies, but I don't remember where that came from. But it really is different. I don't think we've seen something quite like this in pinball. There's a lot of three-dimensional aspects to this game. So I'm looking at the Pro right now, and we'll go into the differences and run down the actual feature-by-feature line items in a little bit. But just a kind of an overlook at the Pro, it's a two-flipper game, okay, kind of like Metallica. You have two ramps, kind of like Metallica, but you have a big main sort of quote toy in the back with the prison, I guess that is that the barn. The barn, no, it's the prison. The prison, cell back there, which has a magnet in front of it, kind of like Sparky, and it has doors on it, kind of like America's Most Haunted, and you have another toy, like a bash toy, like an interactive type toy, sort of mid playfield to the right, kind of like the snake from Metallica. And on the Pro, there's no magnet in front of it. On the LE, as we'll get to, there is a magnet in front of it. But the ramps are the clear plastic, like we saw in Mustang and Star Trek, which I think Stern's doing a pretty good job of making smooth, fast-feeling ramps that look really good and don't cover up a lot, which is cool. What's neat here is the ramps go through the back box into the back side of the the cabinet, and I don't think I have it fully figured out in my head exactly how everything shoots and runs here, but there seems to be a full orbit shot for sure. Although it's very covered, and it looks like the right orbit shot is a tight shot. And I gotta hand it again to the artwork here, is you have this right orbit shot that goes just left of the far right ramp, and I love that there's a ramp to the right of the orbit shot, if that makes sense. There's actually 3 shots on the far right of the game. There's a shot that looks like it returns to the in lane, which is cool and sort of unique. I guess Star Trek has that with a flipper covering it. There's the right ramp, clear ramp, that goes into the back box and then loops back around through the far left, I believe. And then there's the right orbit, which has these train tracks that go into this, that look like they go into the tunnel which is famous from the last season, as they're trying to find the safe haven place. And then it ends up going back to the orbit around the back. All three of those shots are then, to the right of the big, ugly, fatty McFatty guy. And the pop bumpers are situated back behind him. Pop bumpers sort of remind me of, I guess, kind of thinking about this on the fly, sort of a Tron layout, pop bumpers, kind of that area. There's rollovers above it. We're seeing a brand new kind of take on not a brand new, but a refreshing plunger shot here, where the plunger actually curves in towards the left, in towards the playfield, and then it meets another curve that runs it up over 2 star rollovers, which is awesome, and then into either, I believe, a target. I can't really see that very clearly if you hit it really strong. And then there's 2 rollovers, probably, I'm assuming, skill shot lit rollovers there, that then drop you into the pops. So it's different. It's a different feel for sure, and I think that's going to be nice that there's that going for it. The big prison cell in the middle, I don't think we fully know what the function is, other than we know that these doors swing open. I don't know what's in there. I don't know if anybody knows what's in there yet. It'll be interesting to hear. That's awesome. On the left side, we have, to the left of the prison cell, we have a shot that goes, I guess, back into the pops again to the left shot. It's a quick turnaround into that targety area, which I believe has a tower insert back there. And I'm a little confused on what's back there looking at these high-res shots, but there's a left ramp to the left of that. Then there's the left orbit shot to the left of that. Very cool. There's no kickback on this game. We saw a kickback on the LE version of Star Trek, and there is no kickback here. But I think it looks really fantastic. It looks fully featured. It looks like you're getting a lot for your money, and I'm pretty excited. As far as like insert stuff that'll give us some tips towards what's going on, you have numbered inserts down in the bottom that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then last man standing. So it's obviously going to be a mode. Then you have these weapon inserts, which is like a big hammer, the samurai sword, a crossbow, a pistol, a knife, and an axe, like a fire axe. And then above that is horde. And so then after that you have arena, bloodbath, CDC, barn, tower. I can't read all of these. There's prison inserts up towards the top, towards the prison, funny enough. And then there's food, weapons, first aid. So I have a feeling, looking at all these inserts and how well they're labeled, that we are going to have some definite deep rules in this game. I think Stern's really starting to find their groove as far as making a good shooting game that plays interesting, but also has these rule sets that can be expanded upon as they release new code, and I think that's a good thing. I played a bunch of Mustang last week at an arcade in Boston. Totally tangent here, off topic, but just even that, like if you start to really look at the rule set, you can tell they've got a good basic set of rules there that will be expanded upon, I'm sure, as we go. But in any case, just looking at the basic layout of this, no, they didn't reinvent the wheel, but I think for a narrow body game from Stern in 2014, there's a lot on this game. It looks like there's a lot to shoot for. It doesn't look as crowded as, say, X-Men, because you could say this is sort of an inverse of X-Men, with this zombie guy being Wolverine, just flipped on the other side with the pop bumpers behind him, and quite a few shots up there. One thing that's going to be interesting on this, and Metallica has this a little bit, there's a lane up towards the middle toy, which on Metallica is Sparky, and on this game's the prison, where you're shooting up towards the middle, and you can't really get over to that right side if you're not taking the farthest right shots, because up here you have a pop bumper that's closed off on the left side of it, and then just posts with rubber rings around it, so you can't really get over there. There's stand-up targets on either side of the doors into the prison that I will no doubt learn to know very well, because I will hit them constantly as I miss my prison shot, because that's what I do. But yeah, so that's kind of a basic overview. And when I jump really quickly and just start looking at the LE, the first thing I notice, obviously, is there's a magnet in front of the zombie guy. And they're using this kind of different looking magnet that has a copper piece in the middle and then a silver circle around it. Which I believe that's new. I don't think I've seen that magnet piece before. There is now a drop target on that far right shot that goes returning to the in lane. So I think that's interesting. And by the way, that far right in-lane shot is your extra ball shot, which is going to be a fun... I don't know if that can be backhanded. Certainly doesn't appear like it could be backhanded from like a held ball in the right flipper. So it's going to be an end of the left flipper type extreme shot with now a drop target on the LE, making that shot that much more difficult. I also see there's some extra art going on, but one of the big things talked about on the LE is the fish tank of rotted skull zombie heads in the back far right above the right return ramp and the right shooting ramp that's up in the back, kind of up in the back box where the amazing talking robot guy on Party Zone would be, if you know that game. So up in there. So that's kind of just glancing and not going through the feature list yet. The big things that you notice, and then if you look a little bit closer, you see the return of the metal protruding device down the middle of the game that where the ball center drain is. There's the metal arm that flips out, a la Austin Powers. And I got to tell you, I'll be real honest, I don't know the game Austin Powers very well. I've not played much of that game. I kind of don't remember if I've ever played that game. But it has this piece, which in this game is called a crossbow toy, because there's a crossbow very prominent in the game, that your ball will guide into. I'm assuming, see, this is how bad, I don't really know. I forget how this loads in. I don't know if it's through the left out lane, or if it's an in-lane return. I'm totally blanking on this. I don't know. And then anyway, this will come out. It must load from the ball trough, and you'll be able to shoot, as they say, anywhere on the playfield with this crossbow. I'm thinking that's going to end up being a little gimmicky, possibly. I mean, it could be definitely one of those, you must shoot the prison and it rotates out and you have to do it quickly, kind of like AC/DC does to you with the cannon. You have to shoot the lit target. Could be tense, could be kind of cool. So, and anyway, you hit the right ramp to get that crossbow shot going. So somebody explain to me how that loads. I don't recall how Austin Powers loads. But anyway, those are the main things. Yeah, there are other little differences. Spinners is going to be the obvious one. We have a complete lack of spinners on the Pro, which is similar to some of the other recent Stern releases. There's not a ton of artwork difference that I notice. One of the slight things that I notice, I don't know if it'll actually be this way in the final, is on the prison, there are windows up above the door, kind of like barred windows. On the Pro, they're just dark. There's nothing going on in them. On the LE, they're sort of backlit red with silhouettes of people in those windows. And I don't know if it'll be like that on the two games with that difference or not, but I noticed that was different. That's kind of the majority of it. I'm probably missing something just doing my cursory look here, but we'll go through the line by line here in a minute. But man, I got to tell you, backing out from these giant full screen images I'm looking at right now and just looking at it, it's an attractive looking game. The main colors are sort of this like earthy, dirt tone mixed with tons of like red for blood and yellow inserts. And I think it looks cool. The fonts they use are looking cool. Pretty risque that they're using a quote out of the show that says, "Got bit, fever hit, world gone to you know the word, might as well quit," which is like somebody basically alluding to the fact that the zombies were taking over and he got bit, so he was going to turn into a zombie, so he killed himself. This is a dark theme. Teresa doesn't want this in her house. I kind of understand. It's creepy looking. It's scary. Now, I'm not telling you I won't buy this game. I'm just saying she doesn't want it here. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't listen to the show anymore, so no one's here to tell her. And I'll delete your Facebook post if you try and tell her, but I want this game just on first look. I mean, I need to play it, obviously, but I think it looks cool. I'm totally excited about this. So we're going to dive right into the side-by-side feature sets of the two games. Before we run down all the line item details of the game, let's talk about the price of this thing. An interesting thing going on here. I think that if you compare this to the differences between Star Trek Premiums and LEs versus Star Trek Pros. I think this is about the same difference. Obviously, I haven't played it. You do have the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the ramp. The left ramp actually raises up on the LE and reveals a target underneath there. So there is some play difference. Obviously, you have the crossbow shooter toy, which is different. So maybe it's even a little bit more different than Star Trek, because basically in Star Trek you had the jumper, the ball return up to the left in lane return from the far left shot, and you have the light show and the boulders and the extra toy. But for the most part, Star Trek Pro and Star Trek Premium played very similar. Spinners on Metallica is a big one. Obviously, the real lock coffin multi-ball versus the virtual lock type of deal. So this game has a few differences. The drop target, this extra magnet could end up being kind of key. That bums me out. I guess that bums me out. The more I think about it, the more I'm not liking all the differences. But that's okay. Let's talk about the price. So the Pro model has gone all the way up to $59.95 as an MSRP. And I think that most people listening to this podcast know that you can buy these games for less than the MSRP. It's like my industry of guitars. My company, Taylor Guitars, might put a MSRP of $4,000 on a guitar. Generally, that guitar is going to be sold around the internet and the interwebs for more like $3,500. So there's a discount in there of some sort, and we call that street price. So, but we're up to $59.95. That's $6,000. Star Trek, if you go back to the Pro, Star Trek was $53.95. So we have a $600 jump in the Pro, and I don't know. I thought people would react more to that than they have. We're now a full $1,000 above the original price of the original Pro version of Metallica. That was $49.95. So we've had quite a jump, $1,000. If you look at the limited edition, we're also more expensive than Metallica. Well, I guess it's not that much. Metallica was $75.95, and this game is $85.95. Yeah, so we're $1,000 above the Metallica in MSRP as well. But here's the weird thing: we're actually down from the Star Trek limited edition. Not only were there 750 Star Trek limited editions, they were $87.95. So it's actually $200 less, and there's no premium version. So it's kind of a weird shift here. Star Trek had a lot of different kind of inanimate objects, and it had lights up the side rails. It had things that didn't really affect it, whereas this game seems to have some playfield differences. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. $59.95, that means you can probably buy the game landed to you for like $52, $53, $54. I think if this game plays like it looks, it could be big. Let's look at the official announcement on the press release from Stern that we got here. Melrose Park, Illinois, September 9th, 2014. Stern Pinball Inc., the world's oldest and largest producer of arcade-quality pinball games, announced today the availability of its Pro and Limited Edition models of AMC's The Walking Dead pinball machine. Inspired by the hugely popular AMC drama, the newest Stern game brings the hit series to life on the pinball playfield. AMC's The Walking Dead, the most watched series among adults 18 to 49, is based on the comic book series written by Robert Kirkman and published by Image Comics. The drama tells the story of the months and years after a zombie apocalypse. Stern's Walking Dead pinball features everything fans would want in a flesh-eating pinball world. Players fight to survive the zombie apocalypse alongside series icon Sheriff Rick Grimes by battling zombies and completing various game missions. The game includes multiple zombie toys for adrenaline-filled zombie battles at familiar locations from the show, such as the prison and Cell Block C. A brilliant high-definition zombie-filled art package heightens the player's excitement. The limited edition version of the game offers unique special effects such as a fish tank with illuminated sculpted zombie heads and a motorized crossbow assembly that allows players to launch the ball anywhere in the game. The LED mirrored back glass with exclusive art adds to the dynamic pinball experience. Cool. Very cool. I like that. Let's take a look at the the spec sheet. Let's do a little side-by-side rundown of the spec sheet. I like this sort of stuff. So here's the main attractions they're pitching on The Walking Dead. Become part of an apocalyptic pinball world under glass. Both games, Pro and Limited Edition, feature that. In fact, all of the main attractions are featured on both of them, so I'll just run down those. Bash the cell block C to defeat the prison walkers. And I actually found another photo here that does show a zombie head inside the prison doors, so I think I answered my own question. Shoot the well to battle the well walker. Collect supplies and play modes that take you to exciting new experiences. Experience the AMC's The Walking Dead score and music. So they're using music right out of the TV show. Cool. Game features. Newly designed, reliable, illuminated star rollover switches. Man, I love seeing star rollover switches come back. And I love that they take a swipe at the design of all star rollover switches before this. That's funny. It's true, but it's funny. Super Skill Shot features star rollovers. Okay, we got it. Cell Block C interactive prison building with mechanically actuated target doors. That's cool. You hit the doors, they come open, they reveal a walker. Walker means zombie, for those of you not familiar with the show. A Walker bash toy target inside Cell Block C. See? You'd think I would have read this before. Prison, in quotes, super action playfield magnet. So there's the magnet up by the prison. We got that. Well Walker animated bash toy. That's on both games. Here's where we start seeing some differences. Well Walker exposed guts. You're only going to get the exposed guts on the limited edition version, and that appears to be red lights with some wires. Well Walker Super Action Playfield Magnet, only on the limited edition. That might be the single biggest change there in how things play, possibly. Bicycle Girl, who is a character from the very first season who's pretty horrific and sad. Ramp ball enters left playfield, exits at right. Now that's on the Pro. Bicycle Girl ramp balls enters left playfield, exits at right with mechanical lift on the limited edition. So the ramp lifts up. Bicycle Girl bash toy, which is underneath that ramp, only on the limited edition. So on the limited edition, the ramp goes up and there's a bash toy underneath it. Also a difference in gameplay. Vacuum formed ramp ball enters right of playfield and exits left. Form ramp ball enters right. See, that's worded weird. That's the Pro. Then it says vacuum formed crossbow fish tank ramp ball enters right playfield and exits left. So this is the right ramp we're talking about. Magnet ball diverter on crossbow fish tank ramp to feed crossbow. So that does feed the crossbow on that ramp. And that's on the limited edition there. Also in the limited edition, motorized crossbow ball firing mechanism activated by lockdown bar fire buttons. They're going to have a fire button on the lockdown bar. Governor's fish tank with 3 illuminated walker heads. That's the fish tank up in the back right with the 3 heads with lights in them. Already seeing mods being developed on the internet for the Pro version. So at least this is going to be one of those features left off the Pro that we can sort of easily mod and probably do very well with. So that's cool. Supplies, 3 bank drop targets. That's on both games. I actually, it's funny, looking at these, I didn't even see that those were drop targets. And now that I look at it again on the left side, sort of think Tron targets on Tron, right there on the left, above the in lanes, there's 3 targets. That's your first aid, weapons, and food. The supply drop targets. That's on Pro and LE. Love seeing drop targets on both. I'm a big fan of the feel of hitting a shot into a drop target that kind of has that catch and give thing. I like that a lot. It's my favorite thing about AC/DC Premium, to be quite honest with you. All right, so got the drop targets. There's also the Woodbury single drop target on the LE. That's that far right one we were talking about earlier. Shot lane returns to ball shooter. That's only on the LE, which I'm confused about that because I thought on the Pro it did that as well. So I am mistaken. I don't fully understand where the ball goes now, unless it's just a wall with a target back there. I'm lost. Totally confused where the ball goes on that. Maybe it'll answer my question if I keep reading, as that seems to happen. Spinning targets, spinners. We got spinners on the LE. Stand-up targets on both. 2 flippers on both. 3 pop bumpers on both. Counter counter accumulates killed walkers and collects bonus when ball drains. That's probably your 1, 2, 3, 20, 40 inserts down there. As you kill the walkers, you're gaining like a kill total, so to speak, on those inserts. Custom sculpted walker playfield models on both games. Lighting. LED general illumination is white on the Pro. Multiple color LED general illumination, red, green, white on the limited edition. Remember, these are all LEDs in Stern games now. Full spectrum smooth RGB LED playfield arrow inserts and star rollovers on the limited edition. So your lighting is going to be stepped up a bit on the LEDs, which is what we've been seeing from Stern. Backglass and art. Exclusive Pro The Walking Dead Translite. Got it. They have their own Translite versus the mirrored backglass in the LE. Understood. Walking Dead Pro High Definition Decal Cabinet artwork. They just have different cabinet decals on both, broken out like that. Walking Dead themed speaker decal display panel on both. Designer signed playfields featuring John Borg's signature on the LE. So he's going to sign 600 playfields, it looks like. Latching lockdown bar on it's that new style lockdown bar on the Pro. Traditional lockdown bar with fire button on the limited edition. You don't need a fire button on the Pro because there's nothing to fire. Traditional playfield supports. I hate reading stuff like that. That one has playfield supports, one does not on the LE. Powder coated steel and plywood backbox with color themed T-molding, both of them. Playfield slide support and brackets on the LE. Black powder coats legs, arms on the Pro, yada, 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 yada. I won't bore you with all that. It's a 4-pinball game, traditional coin doors, easy to follow game rules for casual players with depth for experts. Got all that? And then also exclusive on the LE, you get a serialized number plate and a certificate of authenticity signed by Gary Stern. So, that's kind of what we know. What's it all mean, though, right? So everyone's wanted this thing. We've wanted a horror-themed pinball machine for a while. Nobody's done one. There hasn't been one in a long time. Spooky Pinball has brought out America's Most Haunted, which is a ghost theme. It's also very tongue-in-cheek. I wouldn't call it horror per se, more ghost. Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave is a zombie game. Obviously, we've got some comparisons. Two completely different takes on the zombie genre. Spooky Pinball is going after sort of the B-movie zombie, getting the girl with scantily clad girl and attacking her, and the hottest girl dies first in the horror movie type thing. They're going for that. They're kind of going, Friday the 13th Part 43, and that's cool. But with zombies, obviously, not Friday the 13th characters. It has a vibe to it. This is obviously not that. This is horror. This is zombie apocalypse if it really happened. The show's very real. Looks like this game's going to be very real. And that leads a lot of people to question. Ben Heck said this to me at one of the shows we were at when we were talking about The Walking Dead as a possible theme for Stern. He goes, man, I just don't think that can be fun. There's nothing fun about that show. It's, kid has to kill his mom. People are eating people all over the place. It's just grotesque. Well, sort of. Here's where I would disagree with Ben on that, is that if you look at the success of zombie and gore-killing games in the video arcade realm, I think it's kind of an easy jump to pinball. People do like a serious take on a game. Pinball is very famous for games like Monster Bash and Medieval Madness, where you have this tongue-in-cheek, family fun, cool vibe, and that's awesome. I like that. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's what makes some of the classic games, is that element of, fun. But you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. I think a lot of people appreciate the idea of a tense game with a tense storyline and real stuff there. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Tales from the Crypt is sort of that borderline where, if you look at Tales from the Crypt, I'm looking at it right now, there's a lot of gore on that game. But you've got the Crypt Keeper and his silly voice, and he's making jokes, so it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Look at the Twilight Zone I've got right next to Tales from the Crypt. It's spooky, not horror per se, but it's very serious. There's not a lot of tongue-in-cheek in the Twilight Zone. It's serious, and it's one of the all-time great themes. So I actually think this is a great move for Stern to do a really straight-up, serious-themed pinball machine that we all know it it's horror, it's zombies, it's not real. It's not like we're doing an operation invade Syria and Afghanistan and capture the ISIS militant game, which would be very serious and also very real and very hard to kind of, have fun with. Like, I would not have fun in a pinball machine about the Middle East crisis. That to me wouldn't be fun, but I can get behind zombies and horror, even if the source material is very, very dark. I'm totally fine with that. And I think a lot of players are not just fine with it, they're welcoming that. So I've seen the response from Charlie at Spooky Pinball, and I think he is, right or wrong, been a little bit maybe insecure about the big boys, Stern Pinball, releasing a zombie game right around the time he's releasing a zombie game. And I think he's already said publicly he's going to sit back, let them release their game, focus on America's Most Haunted, focus on getting their production up, and then let Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave come out, which I think that's a smart idea. I think that's probably a good idea. Get your game dialed in so that when you bring it out next time, it's just fantastic and awesome. And maybe everyone that's bought The Walking Dead will have bought The Walking Dead. And then maybe people will say, okay, well, I bought that zombie game. I want Pinball Zombies Beyond the Grave to go right next to it. I mean, if they sell 600 limited edition Walking Deads and 10% of those people are just buying on the theme, or excuse me, and most of those people are buying based on the theme right now, I think, even if 10% of those people are in for Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave, that's 60 games right there. Plus, whatever else you're going to sell because it's unique and different and you put together a game, you're getting up there where you need to be. So I think it's cool that Charlie's, taking sort of okay, we're going to hang back and let this thing approach, but I wouldn't be too insecure about it because you're building very different games. I mean, very different games. And that's okay. This will run its course. This game has a lot of similarities, I think, to some of their other games as far as actual play. And Charlie's games don't, as far as I've seen and played. So this is definitely going to be successful. I think this will sell more than Mustang. I don't know if it sells more than Star Trek. I think it does. I don't know if it has, if it wants to catch up Metallica and AC/DC, I think it's going to need to really play great and have the rule set hit, and I think they need to try and get this code out as soon as humanly possible. The sooner they can get the code out, the less noise there's going to be in the community and less excuses for people not to go out and buy the game. There's a lot of games popping up for sale. I don't know if you've noticed this, fair listener of Coast to Coast Pinball, but if you look at the want ads in your city, if you look at the marketplace on Pinside and just the listings, a lot of people making room for this game. I think they're going to sell a lot of this game. I'm seeing A-list titles for 20 to 30% less than they were a year or two ago. People have bought a lot of pinball machines recently, so we're going to see that turn and a little bit of that churn. A lot of you people who are waiting to get your Circus Voltaire for $4,500. Your time is coming. Those games are popping out now at prices I haven't seen before. There's a Tales from the Arabian Nights out there for $4,200. There's a lot of games for sale because I think people are looking at getting in on the LE version of The Walking Dead, or maybe just the Pro. But definitely seeing this game is forcing games out of people's collections, which is interesting because I don't think Mustang did that at all. At all. Star Trek did that to a degree, but I don't feel like Mustang did that. So we're back to that now, and that's going to probably drive prices on some things down a little bit, and that's okay. I think it's okay for prices on existing games to come down a little bit because it lowers the barrier of entry for a lot of players into a higher level game. So instead of you having to settle on your first game, and I don't mean settle as it's a bad game, but just not a fully fledged DMD modern game that you might be wanting. So instead of you having to buy, I don't know, name a game, Dr. Dude, maybe you can get World Cup Soccer now for $2,500 or $2,300 even, or $1,800 as it may be. Maybe you can get a Whitewater again for closer to $4,000 than $5,000. A lot of those prices are coming down. What I'm interested to see is what this does to the price of AC/DCs, Metallicas, and Star Treks. A lot of Metallicas out there, and this game is just similar enough in its look and vibe that I think a lot of people are going to think twice before they buy this and Metallica in the same small collection at home. Right? Anybody agree with me on that? I think so. No premium for now. I think we will see a premium on this at some point. Obviously, we don't know what the rules are going to look like. Could be anything. We've got the overall first look. I'm super excited. I think we're going to have these games shipping in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to see them at Expo. Can't wait to play one. And other than that, I would love to hear from those of you listening who plan on buying, getting in. What's making you get in on this? What are you disappointed in? What is your thought on the difference between the Pro and the LE? Are the two bash toys that the bash toy under the ramp and the lack of a magnet on the main playfield bash toy, is that a bummer? Does that really bother you? What do you think? I don't know. A lot of questions to be answered. I love this time of year when we have this, first look at a new Stern pinball machine, because we're only getting 2 to 3 a year, and they're all sort of potentially game changers. These games can grow the hobby. If people are into this and people buy these and people see these out in location and are drawn to it in the bars and bowling alleys and restaurants that choose to put pinball machines on location, that can grow the hobby. Is this a good location game? I think so. I think having more of an adult horror, dark, gritty theme is excellent for bar locations around colleges. I think this is awesome. I think get rid of your Family Guy, get rid of your Shrek, put The Walking Dead in your business, and see how this thing earns. You're asking people to pay $1 for a new Stern machine in a lot of places. So I think you need to offer them something, and maybe giving them something with a little bit of like tense gore and a bit of edge. It's a good thing, right? I think so. I'm excited. I think from what we've seen so far, and as you know how this show goes, we're going to talk a lot about this game in the coming weeks, months, years. And so far, John Borg and the group of Lyman Sheets, Tanya Kleiss, and Mike Kizavat, I can't pronounce your name. So far, what we've seen that's coming out from these guys looks like they have a hit on their hands, which kudos to you guys. And I'm excited to hear the feedback from the community. I can't wait. And guess what? That's all. That's episode 106 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Tons of Walking Dead talk for you. Sorry we haven't had a ton of episodes. Been working. Going back out on the road starting Friday. We may cram another episode in here. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple things I got working. So we got some plans. Expo's next month, in less than 1 month. Going to be in Chicago at Expo. I can't wait. Thank you for listening. If you want to email me, please, anytime send me your thoughts to coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. That's coast, 2, coast, pinball@gmail.com. You can check us out on Facebook. If you can follow us on Twitter. Our website is www.coast2coastpinball.com. We've got shirts for sale. All the episodes, all 105 previous episodes are available there. We've got artwork up there. We've got some videos. We'll be adding more videos. Very excited that you're listening to the show. Thank you for taking the time to spend the evening with me, or the morning as it may be. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.